Welcome, everyone, to the Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving podcast series by Tarika Foundation. Today's segment is going to focus on mindful parenting. And in fact, we'll be having a series of different skills under mindful parenting that we would learn in this few episodes that are going to come to you. To help us understand what mindful parenting is and how we can do it in our day-to-day life, I would like to invite Gayathri Narayanan. She is a mindful parenting teacher and educator, and I would love to ask her to introduce herself and tell us more about her journey in this mindful parenting space. Welcome, Gayathri.
Thank you so much, Leena. I'm so happy to be here, and congratulations on launching this podcast series. I'm sure it's going to be very helpful and useful for many people and listeners who are able to listen to these podcasts. So yes, my name is Gayathri Narayanan. I came from India to do my graduate studies in the University of Southern California, and I graduated with a degree in information systems. I worked in healthcare technology for many years and then switched careers in 2010 to start exploring these areas of mindfulness, mindful parenting, meditation, spirituality. So I've had a long spiritual practice. I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness for about 20 years or even a little bit longer. And I've seen the benefits that these practices have had in my own life. And I was moved to share this with others. And so I got trained as a parent educator from Echo Parenting and Education in Los Angeles. I got certified as a parent educator and then started teaching these classes here in the Bay Area. And I'm also certified as a mindfulness and meditation teacher, and I've been teaching those classes as well in the Bay Area since about 2012 or so. Yeah, so it's been a few years and sharing these practices with the community here.
Thank you so much, Gayathri, for sparing your precious time for us. We really appreciate it. So, Gayathri, there has been a lot of interest in mindfulness lately. I have some foundation in mindfulness, but not all our listeners might be familiar with that concept of mindfulness. So, my first question to you is, how would you describe mindfulness and what are some of the benefits from practicing mindfulness?
So really, very simply defined, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, learning how to bring your attention to the present moment experience in the form of your breath, in the form of sensations in the body or your environment, the sounds you're hearing, smells, tastes, engaging your senses and becoming very present in your body and mind in this moment. So bringing attention to the thoughts you're having, any emotions you're having. So that's mindfulness. And you do that in a very non-judgmental, in a very loving, compassionate way. You bring attention in a very kind and accepting way. So that's essentially what mindfulness is. And what you realize as a parent is that many, many times in our interactions with children, when things go wrong, it's usually because we're stressed, we become overwhelmed, our resources are low, we've had a long day, we lose our patience, and then there's a disconnection, and things can really snowball into very negative and harmful kind of situations. So when we learn how to bring presence to our bodies and minds in the moment, we have a greater capacity to pause between stimulus and response. And we, like Viktor Frankl says, there's a space between stimulus and response. And in that space, we have a choice, and that choice helps us transform and grow, right? So this paradigm of mindful parenting gives us the tools and the skills to learn how to pause, to learn how to choose how we speak, how we engage, learn how to connect with the needs and feelings of our children. So it's a much more empathetic way of relating to our children, rather than moving to some of the more common responses of things like, you go into shaming or blaming or trying to punish or manipulate or try to control your children. So instead of going down that paradigm of the domination paradigm, which is what most of us have been raised with, and it's more the more common model for parenting, this offers us a different way of connecting with our children empathetically, and giving them the skills then to also learn how to navigate their emotions in a healthy way. So the parent then becomes the model for the child to develop those emotional skills, those emotional intelligence skills, so that they also learn how to regulate their emotions, learn how to connect with their feelings and needs, pause. So we kind of teach the skills to the children by modeling it ourselves as parents. So there's a lot of beautiful benefits that come from this way of parenting, because it reduces our reactivity, because we can respond from a more calm place. It gives us the tools for self-regulation for ourselves, for our children. It cultivates emotional awareness and empathy in the parents. And it models behaviors for children to increase their own emotional literacy and capacity for empathy. It promotes a secure attachment with our children, a more trusting relationship. It definitely reduces stress and anxiety and depression for both parents and children. And it prevents children from becoming fearful or traumatized by out of control behaviors of the parents, right? And it increases qualities of appreciation, gratitude, and joy. So there's so many beautiful benefits from this model of parenting, which I have experienced myself in my own life with my two children, who are now 17 and 13 years old. And it's never perfect. We're always, as parents, we're always 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So it's a practice. So there's no such thing as being a perfect parent. But at the same time, it's definitely been very, very helpful in my own life to have these tools and practices.
Wow, Gayatri, thank you for sharing that. So, just to summarize, I think some of the bullet points that I took away from your description on mindful parenting, it's definitely a very unique kind of parenting, unlike what we otherwise see. Like, I'm a child psychiatrist, so I see a lot of children and work with a lot of families, and often I see there is this hierarchy and this authoritative type of parenting, and I think that's what you're talking about, the domination paradigm or dominant type of parenting, where the child is not treated equal. It sounds like in mindful parenting you are actually making a conscious effort to remember that the child is another human being, another emotional being, and you're treating them as equal. I have to say, I have been trying to practice mindfulness in my day to day life. That's something I've been very intrigued by, and I love the concept and have started to see the change in my day to day life. But I'm still not sure how that would actually translate into like parenting. It's such a daunting task. I have a 14-year-old as well, so teenagers is a whole different ball game, right? So what are some of the things that you feel are different in parenting a teen versus a child? Is there a difference in that when you actually go with this mindful parenting kind of paradigm?
Yes, no, definitely. So part of this learning this model of parenting is learning to understand what is actually going on in children who are, for example, 5 years old. What's happening in their brains? So the fact that their limbic system is developing, the midbrain is in a very high rate of development at that age, when they're 5, up to about 5, 6, 7 years old. And so the kind of behaviors that you expect from a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, when you understand the science of the brain, then as a parent, you're much more informed, and okay, when a child is having a tantrum, that it's a normal, it's expected at that age, because their brains are not wired yet to be able to regulate. And so as a parent, then when you know that, you can adjust your parenting expectations to say, hey, this is natural. Now, how can I bring some safety and support for a child who's having a tantrum, rather than punishing them and sending them to their room on a timeout because they're crying, right? So that's one. And so similarly for teens, understanding what is happening in the teen brain. that they're looking for autonomy. They're learning how to individuate. They're learning how to express themselves in this world. And it's a need for them to, as a parent, to be able to acknowledge that need, to say, hey, yes, you are looking for more autonomy. You're looking for more self-expression. So you are going to push back. You are going to rebel. And as a parent, how can I allow a little bit of that while keeping them safe, right? So the strategies for parenting are definitely very different for a teenager compared to like a 5-year-old. But part of this journey of learning this paradigm is informing yourself of the science of the brain, of learning child development, brain development. And that way you can come from a more informed place as a parent rather than just your unconscious behaviors of like, go to your room, and go, and then that creates a lot of disconnection. And especially in teenagers, it's so important to keep that line of communication open with the children, having a hand on the pulse, knowing what's going on in their lives, having a sense of trust that they can come to you, with anything, that you're not going to judge them, you're not going to. So they have to have that level of comfort and trust in order to develop through those teenage years, because it's such a delicate time for them, So these skills definitely help in maintaining that connection. And also learning how to repair when things go wrong, right? Which it invariably it's going to happen. We will yell, we will lose it, they'll get mad at us. I mean, it's part of the parent-child relationship. But then what do you do afterwards? How can you come back and heal that and come back to a place of understanding? Learning how to get in touch with the feelings and needs that were alive at that time when that incident happened. And then healing from that and understanding and then moving forward. So those are all different tools of mindful parenting, learning how to repair the rupture, learning how to regulate anger. So topics like setting limits. How do you set limits in a compassionate way, in a mindful way, in a respectful way, where the child is also part of that process of setting limits, for example. So these are all so many great, rich topics that we can cover in the weeks to come.
Thank you, Gayatri, for enlightening us and giving us this foundation on mindful parenting. I hope our listeners are looking forward to the future podcast series on this particular topic. So please tune in and listen to our future podcast series. If you like our podcast, remember you can like it. It's called Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a series for youth mental health by Tharika Foundation. Thank you and take care.